On a Halloween night meant for celebration, 19-year-old Leilani Beauchamp stepped out of a party with people she trusted and vanished without a trace. Within hours, her silence turned into a desperate search, and what seemed like a routine missing person case quickly spiraled into something far more sinister. Investigators would soon uncover a trail marked by jealousy, a violent confrontation, and a desperate attempt to erase the truth, stretching across cities and leaving behind chilling questions about what really happened behind closed doors. But as the evidence began to surface, one detail stood out above all. Something that suggested this wasn't just a crime of the moment, it was something far darker. Fairfield, California, a quiet town that became the backdrop for a real-life tragedy. In October 2021, the story of Leilani Beauchamp unfolded, a 19-year-old whose death shocked everyone. No one anticipated what would happen. It started on October 29th, 2021, during Halloween weekend, when people were dressing up, attending parties, and enjoying themselves. Leilani, a college student from Carmel, California, was out having a good time in Sacramento, California, about 45 minutes from Fairfield. She was last seen early on October 30th, leaving a Halloween party with two men she knew, both active-duty Air Force members. They planned to go to a house on Cascade Lane in Fairfield, a place she had visited before. What happened next? This is where the story takes a darker turn. When she didn't respond to texts or calls throughout the day, unusual since she spoke with her brothers daily, her family grew concerned. On Saturday, October 30th, 2021, around 6 p.m., they contacted the Fairfield Police Department to report her missing. A horrifying discovery followed. Hours later, in Monterey County, over 100 miles away, a discovery would shake them to their core. Something terrible had occurred at that house in Fairfield, leading to one of the most chilling real-life cases in Northern California. What drove it? Was it an accident or a deliberate betrayal? Who was responsible? By the end of this film, everything will be pieced together. A night of celebration turned into a tragedy that people still talk about today. If you're ready to begin this true crime story, who was the young woman at its center? Beyond the headlines and heartbreak, it's important to understand who she was first. Leilani wasn't just a name in the news. Leilani Marie Beauchamp was born in Long Beach, California on June 12, 2002. She grew up in El Dorado Hills, California, and attended high school in Carmel, California, at Carmel Valley High School. As the oldest of three siblings, she was deeply loved by her younger brother and sister. Her family described her as a true blessing. Friends and loved ones remembered her as a warm, vibrant person who could light up any room. Whenever she entered a room, it was hard not to smile at her, and her laughter gave a sense that everything would be all right. At 19, she was pursuing her dreams in San Jose, California, while staying closely connected to her family. She made it a point to text, call, and do small things every day to show her brothers how much she cared. But something about that Halloween party stands out. Leilani wasn't just another face in the crowd. She trusted the people she was with. The house on Cascade Lane was a place she had visited before. This wasn't a case of stranger danger. It was about familiarity and trust, perhaps too much of it. That's what makes what followed so difficult to comprehend. A night of partying with familiar faces quickly unraveled. It was Saturday, October 30th, 2021, and Leilani's family was growing fearful. The night before, she had attended a large party in Sacramento, California, about 45 minutes from Fairfield, California. By Saturday evening, she still hadn't responded to any texts or calls, something completely out of character for someone who always stayed in touch with her brothers. That was a troubling sign. Later that night, her family reported her missing to the Fairfield Police Department. At first, they tried to reassure themselves that she might just be caught up in the weekend's chaos, but deep down they were afraid. Events began to escalate quickly. With Halloween approaching on Sunday, October 31st, something unusual was about to unfold in Monterey County, California, over 100 miles south of Fairfield, near Salinas, California. Think about this. Along a quiet, winding stretch of Corral de Tierra Road, just off Highway 68, the area is calm and rural, with rolling hills and little traffic. Around 5:30 p.m., someone notices something down the side of the road. It isn't trash or an animal. It appears to be a person wrapped in a blanket. Whoever spotted it, whether a passerby, tourist, or local, alerted authorities. Deputies from the Monterey County Sheriff's Office arrived at the scene. The discovery was devastating. It was the body of Leilani Beauchamp. The young woman last seen just hours earlier was now connected to a tragic finding far from where she had disappeared. Details remain limited, but here's what was later confirmed. The Monterey County Sheriff's Office reported receiving a tip on Sunday. Authorities have not disclosed who made the 911 call, but it was that call that set everything in motion. What began as a missing person case quickly expanded into a much larger investigation spanning Sacramento County, California, Solano County, California, and Monterey County, California. The Fairfield Police Department soon joined forces with investigators from Monterey County and Travis Air Force Base to determine what had happened. Residents of Salinas, California were left stunned. One local described the neighborhood as peaceful, saying they walked there every day and couldn't believe something like this had occurred. Another resident, who had lived there for nearly 3 decades, said nothing like this had ever happened before. Fear and confusion spread as people struggled to understand how a body could end up in such a quiet area. Meanwhile, Leilani's family was confronted with the most devastating news imaginable. The news devastated her mother, Violet, and her grandmother, Monica. Her mom would later say it was a day she would never forget. A day that was supposed to be filled with fun, but instead became one of unimaginable loss. That moment, that call confirming she wasn't coming home, is every parent's worst nightmare. The pain is so deep that words can hardly capture it. In less than 48 hours, a 19-year-old went from a party in Sacramento, California, to a house in Fairfield, California, and then to a remote area near Salinas, California. Questions began to weigh heavily on everyone's mind. Did she leave immediately after something happened? Why was she found so far away? Who alerted the authorities? The discovery itself was disturbing, but it was only the beginning. Investigators moved quickly, knowing time was critical. They focused on the last place she had been seen, determined to piece together what had happened. She left the party with 2 Air Force personnel from Travis Air Force Base and went to a house on Cascade Lane in Fairfield, California. Investigators in Fairfield acted quickly, coordinating with the Air Force Office of Special Investigations due to the clear military connection. The Monterey County Sheriff's Office also became involved since Leilani was discovered there. 3 agencies, 3 jurisdictions, and 1 objective: determine what happened between the party and that remote hillside. By Sunday night, authorities returned to the Cascade Lane house with a search warrant. This was far more than a routine check. They conducted a thorough and intense investigation, similar to questioning everyone inside. One roommate, Damian Ponders, began to share information. Although he wasn't home at the time, he confirmed that Leilani had been there before. He explained that she knew one of the airmen, Juan Peralta, a 20-year-old cargo specialist at Travis Air Force Base. As mentioned earlier, Leilani was last seen leaving the party with 2 men, Damian Ponders and Peralta. Another detail soon emerged. Juan was involved with someone else, a 21-year-old from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, named Jessica Quintanilla. Suddenly, connections began to surface, forming a complex web of relationships. Detectives started reconstructing Leilani's final hours, shortly after 2 a.m. On Saturday, she left the party with Peralta and Damian Ponders, and by around 3 or 4 a.m., they arrived at the house on Cascade Lane. After that, her communication stopped. No calls, no messages. Meanwhile, investigators analyzed phone records and tracked cell site data to piece together the timeline. and then another piece falls into place. That morning in Fairfield, California, Jessica's phone receives a call from her brother, Marco Quintanilla. He is 27, from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and already on parole for a prior offense. Over the next 24 hours, phone activity moves back and forth between Fairfield and Monterey County, California. It doesn't appear random, there's a clear pattern. Now the focus shifts to the evidence. During the search of the Cascade Lane house on Sunday night, investigators uncover something significant. While police did not immediately disclose details, later court documents revealed signs of a struggle and an apparent attempt to clean the scene. Evidence of blood was found, linking Leilani directly to the house. Meanwhile, Marco was wearing an ankle monitor due to his parole status, adding another crucial element to the investigation. It appears he traveled from Fairfield, California to Salinas, California, the location where Leilani's body was discovered. His movements seem to leave behind digital evidence that investigators can track. Meanwhile, Juan and the other airmen are questioned by the Air Force Office of Special Investigations. One account lacks consistency. He admits being present, but offers little detail, while the second airman is more cooperative, though not yet the primary focus. By Monday, November 1st, the pieces begin to come together. Jessica is strongly connected to Juan, something confirmed by people who know them both, including Damien. Marco, her brother, aligns with the timeline through his movements. Juan was at the house where everything began. Investigators believe something escalated at the Cascade Lane residence, possibly a confrontation or argument that spiraled out of control. Prosecutors begin to suggest the possibility of a love triangle, though the case hasn't fully reached that point yet. By Monday night, they have enough to act. Officers from Fairfield Police Department travel to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, roughly 40 miles away, where Jessica and Marco are taken into custody. Authorities consider Jessica the primary suspect, alleging she was the one who fired the gun, while Marco is accused of assisting her and helping conceal what happened. Juan is also detained at Travis Air Force Base, as investigators believe he may be withholding important information. At this stage, law enforcement focuses on building a strong case, not just making arrests. They collect Jessica's phone, Marco's ankle monitor data, and additional evidence from Juan's residence. Messages exchanged between the siblings on Saturday morning stand out as particularly troubling. Investigators point to messages saying things like "it's done" and "meet me Sunday afternoon," sent just hours before the 911 call. Data from Marco's ankle monitor places him near Corral de Tierra Road. Juan has not been charged, but suspicion around him continues to grow. Both the Air Force Office of Special Investigations and the Fairfield Police Department keep a close watch on him. The second airman is questioned and later released without charges. So who exactly are these individuals? Jessica is a young mother living in Pittsburgh, California, a working-class city east of the San Francisco Bay Area, raising her 2-year-old son. Juan, an active-duty cargo specialist at Travis Air Force Base, is married to her, though she is not in the military. Friends say they had been involved for some time, describing Jessica as passionate, protective, and possibly intense. Marco is her older brother and has a criminal history. He was previously charged with and convicted of attempted murder, a violent offense in California. At the time, he was out on parole and required to wear an ankle monitor. Juan, on the other hand, is described as more reserved. Born in Mexico, he grew up in California and joined the Air Force at 19. People who lived with him at the Cascade Lane house, including Damien Ponders, said he was laid back and mostly kept to himself. Now all three are at the center of this tragedy. The charges are serious, with Jessica facing the most severe accusations, charged with killing Leilani, along with an additional firearm-related charge. Authorities allege she was the one who pulled the trigger at the Cascade Lane house on October 30th, 2021. In the early hours, Marco is charged as an accessory, accused of helping transport Leilani's body to Corral de Tierra Road, more than 100 miles south and then attempting to cover it up. Juan faces a lesser charge as an accessory after the fact, as investigators believe he knew what had happened but did not report it. On Tuesday, November 2nd, he is released on $25,000 bail and returned to Travis Air Force Base under supervision. Meanwhile, Jessica and Marco are held without bail at the Solano County Jail. Authorities then begin outlining how Leilani Beauchamp, Juan Peralta, and Jessica Quintanilla all ended up at the same house at the same time. Peralta later states that he had planned a surprise birthday celebration for Quintanilla on October 9th, but also admits that they had broken up for a period in October following an argument. Juan Peralta reportedly told Jessica Quintanilla that he was moving and that she needed to collect her belongings from the house he rented on Cascade Lane in Fairfield, California. The missing person report for Leilani Beauchamp was filed on October 30th, 2021. That same day, Leilani went with Peralta to his off-base residence on Cascade Lane, and Quintanilla arrived at the house early that morning. According to testimony, the situation escalated when Quintanilla came to retrieve her belongings. Peralta, who later served as a key witness for the prosecution, stated in court that Quintanilla confronted him and Leilani while they were lying together in a bedroom. He said Quintanilla became upset upon seeing Leilani and briefly left the room to retrieve a bracelet. He returned about 30 seconds later with a semi-automatic pistol and, from just a few feet away, fired a single shot that struck Leilani in the head, killing her instantly. Dr. Arnold Jocelyn, the pathologist who conducted the autopsy in Fairfield, California, testified that the bullet entered her head and exited on the right side, consistent with a close-range shot. According to testimony, Jessica Quintanilla then threatened Juan Peralta, saying she would kill him if he did not help her. Later that morning, they covered Leilani's body with a blanket. The two then went to Home Depot to purchase a tarp, though it remains unclear whether it was used. The body was eventually transported to a rural area near Corral de Tierra Road in Salinas, California, within Monterey County, California. The body was left about 10 yards from the road, concealed by vegetation. Prosecutors alleged that Marco helped cover up the crime and discussed ways to hide additional evidence. The trial of Jessica and Marco Quintanilla began in late 2024 at the Solano County Superior Court, overseen by Judge William Pendergast following earlier delays. The prosecution, led by Deputy District Attorney Alana Shapiro, presented a motive centered on a love triangle. They argued that Jessica acted out of jealousy over Juan Peralta being involved with Leilani Beauchamp. The state charged Marco as an accessory after the fact and with illegal firearm possession, while Jessica faced a felony murder charge. Much of the prosecution's case relied on Peralta's testimony, supported by physical evidence such as the autopsy findings and the recovery of Leilani Beauchamp's body. Shapiro argued to the jury that Jessica showed no remorse for her actions, noting that she did not shed tears for Leilani throughout the 5-week trial. The prosecution claimed the act was premeditated, emphasizing that Jessica left the bedroom to retrieve a gun, contradicting the defense's argument that the incident was spontaneous. Regarding Marco, prosecutors highlighted his role in assisting his sister, pointing to his presence at the Pittsburgh meeting and his prior criminal history to suggest he was prepared to help obstruct justice. Meanwhile, Jessica's attorney, William Allen Welch, sought to undermine Juan Peralta by portraying him as manipulative, arguing that he may have contributed to the shooting through careless handling of a firearm and by providing misleading statements to police. Welch cross-examined Juan Peralta extensively, highlighting inconsistencies in his initial statements to police, such as claiming he had not seen Leilani Beauchamp the night before, and suggesting he may have owned the firearm involved. The defense argued the killing was a spontaneous act driven by anger and urged the jury to consider lesser charges, like voluntary manslaughter instead of murder. Welch also framed the incident as a tragic outcome of a troubled relationship, suggesting that Jessica's reaction was influenced by Peralta's actions. Based on established details of the Leilani Beauchamp case, Marco Quintanilla's ankle monitor became a crucial piece of evidence. helping link him to the crime through its tracked movements. The investigation and court proceedings revealed that Marco's ankle monitor data tracked his movement from Fairfield, California, where the crime occurred at the Cascade Lane house, to the Salinas, California area in Monterey County, California, where Leilani Beauchamp's body was discovered. Specifically, the data placed him in Fairfield during the early hours of October 30th, 2021, shortly after she was last seen alive at the residence. Over the following 24 hours, the monitor traced his movement south, placing him near Corral de Tierra Road, roughly 100 miles from Fairfield. On October 31st, 2021, Leilani's body was found along that rural road, and on November 1st, 2021, it was confirmed at that same location. This digital trail strongly supported the prosecution's claim that Marco assisted his sister, Jessica Quintanilla, in transporting and disposing of the body after the killing, as presented in court on November 13, 2024. After closing arguments, the jury deliberated and found Jessica Quintanilla guilty of felony murder. 2 days later, on November 15th, Judge William Pendergast sentenced her to 25 years to life in prison. The verdict reflected the jury's rejection of the defense's heat of passion argument, aligning with the prosecution's claim that the act was planned. A full jury considered Marco's case, but Jessica's trial did not. He instead accepted a plea deal, admitting guilt as an accomplice. On January 17, 2025, Judge Pendergast sentenced him to 4 years in state prison, accounting for time already served. Having spent over 3 years in custody since his arrest, the plea agreement prevented a longer sentence. Juan was never formally charged with murder or any other crime by the Solano County District Attorney's Office. Instead, he received immunity in exchange for providing truthful testimony about Jessica Quintanilla and Marco Quintanilla. In his statement, he said that Jessica fired the gun that killed Leilani, threatened him with the weapon to force his assistance, and instructed him to help dispose of the body in Salinas, California. At the time, Juan was an active duty cargo specialist at Travis Air Force Base. The Air Force took separate disciplinary action. Both he and his roommate, Damian Ponders, who also lived at the Cascade Lane house but faced no charges, were discharged with less than honorable conditions. This demonstrates the Air Force's stance on the matter, even though Juan faced no criminal charges. The murder of Leilani Beauchamp remains a stark reminder of how seemingly small conflicts can escalate into irreversible tragedies. What stands out most in this case is how quickly a seemingly ordinary situation escalated into irreversible violence, driven by emotion, poor decisions, and a complete disregard for human life. The combination of jealousy, confrontation, and the alleged attempt to cover up the crime suggests not just a moment of anger, but a series of conscious choices that made the outcome far worse. What makes it especially disturbing is the betrayal element. Leilani was with people she likely trusted, which adds a deeper layer of tragedy. At the same time, the case highlights how modern investigations rely heavily on digital footprints and physical evidence to reconstruct the truth, even when someone tries to erase it, ultimately showing that actions like these rarely stay hidden for long.